Hey everyone, it's Chelsea from Chelsea Makes. Today I'm giving you my top 5 tips that you need to know as a new Glowforge user. You might already know that I am obsessed with my Glowforge and I've had it for over 4 years. But it can be really intimidating if you've A, never used a laser cutter before, or B, are just getting it in the mail for the first time. So let's talk about these 5 tips that'll make sure that every cut is perfect. Tip number 1, know your materials. There are so many materials that can be cut on a laser cutter, but there are also so many materials that you absolutely do not want to cut on your laser cutter. Take some time, familiarize yourself with these materials based on laser safe lists that you find online and the Glowforge forum. Now that being said, you probably know that Glowforge has a line of Proofgrade materials which are meant to be used in their machines. These materials are great because they're pre-coded, they've got a barcode, it tells your machine exactly what settings to use, but if you haven't noticed by now, they can be a little pricey. Now of course there are a wide range of non-Proofgrade materials that are perfectly safe and great for your machine. If you're planning on using these, check around on the forums to see some of the best materials that are recommended. I personally use a lot of 1/8" interior birch plywood, 1/4" maple plywood, and acrylics that I've purchased elsewhere. The settings you need for those materials are listed below, so fear not. Tip number 2, masking. By now you've probably noticed that Proofgrade materials come with a thin sheet of masking on both sides. Laser cutters in general tend to have something called backflash, flare-up. Basically what this means is as the laser is hitting the metal crumb tray below, there's tons of sparks and little burn-ups that end on your material if you're not careful. Masking ensures that there's a thin layer between the metal crumb tray and your material, so any of this extra soot and burn marks end up on that material instead of your precious woods, acrylics, etc. As I mentioned, Proofgrade materials come pre-masked, but you can buy a really easy, cheap 12" roll of masking to apply to any non-Proofgrade material that you're planning on using. I can't recommend this enough because of course you can sand away the burn marks on most materials, but it's just so much easier and quicker to add a little bit of masking. Tip number 3, don't trust the camera. Now I will say the fact that the Glowforge has a camera on its top is so helpful. It gives you the chance to see what material you have, how much space you have left, and it really isn't something that most standard laser cutters have. However, it's not perfect. You might see that you have your design on your material and it's perfect, and then once you cut, it's off. What gives? Well, the center of your machine right below the camera is always going to be the most accurate. If you're using a small piece of material, just make sure to center it on the bed to get the most accurate placement. Now what happens if you're using a full 12x20 sheet of material? My tip is to always bring your material down to the bottom edge of the crumb tray, where the metal meets the plastic, and then shift it all the way to the right. This will ensure that your material is extending beyond where the laserable space is allowing. It's not perfect, but it will help ensure you're not wasting too much material. If possible, always give yourself a little bit of extra room from the insides to make sure that you're not getting things off the edge of the material. Tip number 4, always check your settings. This is true whether you're using Proofgrade materials or not. The way your Glowforge knows whether to cut, score, or engrave is dependent on the type of file you're uploading. If you're uploading something that's a PDF, a JPEG, it's going to assume that you want to engrave. When you're designing your file, you want to include different colors for the different types of cuts or scores you want to make. Your Glowforge takes this file and knows that red lines are going to be cut differently from blue lines. But it doesn't know what you want those cuts to be. So once you have it uploaded into the dashboard and in your design space, you can then change the settings for red cuts versus blue cuts versus any other color cut you have in there. The other thing you want to check with settings is your focus height. Proofgrade materials will automatically know what the focus height should be. But if you're using a non-Proofgrade material, you really want to make sure you're measuring the thickness using a digital caliper and inserting that into the program. This will make sure that you're getting the clearest, most concise focus height available. If the head of your laser is too far or too close to your material, you'll notice that the burn marks are inconsistent. They might be thicker or thinner. And this is why it's also important to make sure that your material is laying flat to the bed. Tip number 5, don't leave your machine unattended. It's easy to walk away when you've got a 30-minute cut going on, but trust me, it's better to be safe than sorry. I unfortunately learned my lesson the hard way when a piece of paper I was cutting got stuck under the laser and caught fire. Now, I was very lucky that my machine didn't get any damage and I was able to catch it in time, but that's only because I was standing there ready to act. Be safe, be careful, have fun, and enjoy your brand new Glowforge.